Noah hurriedly said to the side, "Mom, ask them to prepare 2 rooms. I have to live with Harold. Can't I say I am Jacob's eldest brother? He also has a maintenance obligation to me. Otherwise, I will tell the police that they fight and break my heart." After finishing speaking, Noah looked at Charlie again and snorted coldly. "Tell you, Charlie, I have coronary heart disease, and I can die here anytime and anywhere. If I die here, you have to be responsible to the end." Charlie smiled slightly and said, "Then wait until the police arrives." Soon, there was a knock on the door. Noah was overjoyed and hurriedly told Harold, "Harold, go open the door." Harold quickly went out and opened the door. At this time, a team of police officers walked in from outside the door. The old Mrs. Wilson hurriedly cried and shouted, "Comrade police, you have give the old woman a shot. My son is not willing to support me. My daughter-in-law and grandson-in-law beat me." Elaine hurriedly said, "Comrade police, don't listen to this Lady Wilson's nonsense. My husband was kicked out of the house by her and severed the relationship between mother and child." The police officer looked at Elaine, then looked down at Mrs. Wilson, and asked, "Is what she said is true?" "It's not true." The old Mrs. Wilson said hurriedly, "I was just talking for a while." An angry word? Jacob was also angry, and blurted out, "You have long stopped letting us live in the Wilson family villa. You also kicked out my daughter and me from the Wilson family group, and detained me and Elaine in the Wilson family. The group's pension, cut off the mother-child relationship with me, and now you're in a downfall. Just tell me it's a moment of anger?" The police officer frowned and asked, "Who's the owner of the villa?" Charlie said, "It's me." The police officer nodded and asked, "What is your relationship with this Lady Wilson on the ground?" "It doesn't matter." Charlie said, "She is my wife's grandmother." The police officer said to the Lady Wilson, "You have come to the wrong place. You can consult with your son and daughter about maintenance, but you can't break into your grandson-in-law's house and make trouble. You are already suspected of breaking into the house and provoking trouble." "What?" The old Mrs. Wilson scolded angrily. "Your head is crowded? My son's house, can't I come?" The police officer said patiently, "The key is not your son's house, understand?" "I understand your uncle." Mrs. Wilson scolded angrily, "I don't care about this. They must take me in today, otherwise, I won't leave." Noah also concealed himself and blurted out, "I am Jacob's eldest brother, I have no place to live now, and he also has maintenance obligations to me. If they don't take us in, we will not leave." "That's right, we are not going." Harold and Wendy also sat on the ground, lying here. Elaine's face was extremely ugly, and said, "Your family of 4 is too shameless, right? All you have is to rely on house?" Old Mrs. Wilson gritted her teeth and said, "Anyway, if you don't let me live, I'll just sit here without eating or drinking. I'm going to die at your door. I'll haunt you when I become a ghost." Elaine was stunned. Charlie was also shocked. Isn't this the way the mother-in-law used to scold the streets in the previous neighborhood? The Lady Wilson and Elaine really are born to be the same. The police officer looked at these 4 people, waved to the subordinates beside him, and ordered, "Come on, take these people back." "Okay, sir." The other police officers quickly controlled Mrs. Wilson and handcuffed them quickly. Old Mrs. Wilson was confused by this scene and said angrily, "Policeman, did you catch me wrong? They abandoned me, and what did you catch me for?" The police officer glanced at her and said, "You have been suspected of provoking troubles. In accordance with the law and order, you will be detained for 15 days. Old Mrs. Wilson struggled quickly, and said, "Why are you indifferent? You are turning black and white and wronging good people." The police officer frowned and said, "If you don't abandon your support, you can file a lawsuit in the court, and the court will judge it, but you can't go to someone else's house to make trouble. This is already illegal." After that, the police officer warned, "The 4 of you had better be honest. If you yell or even resist, you will be deemed to be obstructing official duties, and you may be sentenced at that time." The old Mrs. Wilson was desperate and blurted out, "Why? Why? Why are you arresting me? I'm just an Lady Wilson who has no place to live. Even if you are pitiful and pity me, you can't take me away. The police officer said coldly, no matter how poor you are, you must obey the law. Take them all away.